Welcome to IELTS Easy. Final prep. Final preparation. This lesson will focus on the recommended final preparation needed to achieve success on the test day itself.
Here are goals for this lesson. Take some time to carefully read them, and when you're ready, we've covered a lot of material over this course. And we are now coming to the end of the IELTS Easy lessons. If you've been applying the material in the lessons and using the practice tests, you should be feeling more and more confident as you draw closer to the day of your IELTS test. I hope you've been following the 4 keys for success that I outlined for you at the start of this course. These keys are very important to coming up with a successful result on the day. I want to remind you of the keys. The first is knowledge. You must have a good knowledge of academic English and a deep understanding of the IELTS test system. To gain knowledge, you must have discipline. Discipline is the self-control to do what must be done, even if it's not what you feel like doing at the moment. Systems is the way of doing things to produce a consistent result. The lessons have outlined many systems that you can use that will make a real, positive difference to your exam results. Finally, your health. Health is often overlooked, but poor health can have such a negative effect on your performance that it must be included as a key to academic success. Students, think on these things and make sure you're applying them in your studies, particularly now, as you draw near to the final weeks and days before the exam. In this lesson, I will outline for you some final preparation tips, particularly for the final days leading up to the exam. I will also give you some important tips for the exam itself. As you draw closer to your exam date, I recommend that you move into a more intense mode of study. I particularly recommend this for the final week before the test. In this last week, you're probably not going to be able to improve your English a great deal. But a final week of focusing on test-taking skills can make a big difference. Here are my recommendations for your final week of study. Firstly, make sure you review all IELTS Easy lessons. As I've mentioned, there are important systems, tips and techniques in the lessons, and it's important for them to be fresh in your mind at exam time. Secondly, I suggest completing one complete set of listening, reading, writing and speaking tests from the practice lab under exam conditions. That means running strictly to the exam time limits and making sure that you're in a quiet place with no distractions. Even if you have done all the tests previously, doing one of each again and applying the techniques will bring all the material to the forefront of your mind. Next, focus on the areas in which you are weakest. Take some extra time on practice tests in those areas where you need to work most. Even if you repeat the same tests, it will still help you to develop your test-taking skills. One final point. It's been shown that people who visualize their goals and believe they can achieve them do better than those who are full of doubts. Take a little quiet time during this last week and write down the band score you're aiming for on a piece of paper or card. Positively think about achieving that goal. Put up the paper where you can see it as you study. And keep your mind focused on it the entire week. You can do it. A positive focus of this sort will mentally help you perform at your very best on the day. If you've been consistently studying in the weeks prior to the test, one day before your exam, I suggest a change of pace. The final day before the test, I suggest you stop studying and rest your mind and body. Athletes do the same thing coming up to an important competition. They ease off training before an event so that they operate at their very best on the day. On this last day, keep your mind on positive things and avoid any unnecessary stress. Think about the band score that you wrote down earlier and focus on achieving your goals. The night before the test, make sure you get a good sleep. Staying up late the night before a big test is not a good idea. Research has shown that students who sleep well the night before the exam do better than those who don't. Another point to consider is what you eat. On the day before the exam and on the day itself, make sure you don't overeat. When you eat too much, you become tired and sluggish because your body is busily digesting all the food you've eaten. Keep your meals small and regular. These points may not seem important, but they are all part of helping you to do your very best on the day. When it comes to the exam day itself, Aim to wake up with a positive frame of mind. And forget any fears you may have. A little bit of nervousness is natural. But if you've followed all the suggestions given in this course, and applied yourself diligently, you can be confident that you'll do well. Plan to arrive at the exam center on time. You should be aware of how long it takes to travel to the exam site. And plan accordingly. You do not want to turn up stressed and late at the test center. If you do turn up late, you may not be allowed to take the test. Next, remember to bring all the items you'll need. Your IELTS test application form will list these. The examiner will ask you to show your proof of identity. And you must bring a pen, pencil and an eraser. I suggest using a pencil with a dark lead for all of your answers. A pencil allows you to correct your mistakes quickly and easily. Bringing a spare pen or pencil is also wise. At the test center, make sure you listen carefully to the verbal instructions given to you by the examiner. You'll be told what you can and can't bring into the test room. The other type of instruction you'll be given will be written. Read what you're given carefully. If you've carefully practiced and studied all the questions in the lab, you'll be very familiar with the types of written instructions you encounter throughout the test. During the exam itself, it's important to maintain attention to detail. You don't want little things to reduce your band score. Every mark is precious. 1 point in any of the modules could mean the difference between the score you want and the score you get. I've mentioned some of these points in previous lessons, but I want to remind you of them again. Firstly, make sure that you attempt to answer every question. If you leave an answer blank, you have no chance of possibly getting that answer correct. Watch your spelling and grammar. IELTS will accept both the British and American spelling of answers. But apart from that, your spelling must be correct. The answers in the IELTS listening test will not be difficult to spell words. IELTS expects that you should be able to easily spell the answers to their questions. In the reading test answers there's really no excuse. It's usually a simple matter of copying the correct word or words from the reading passage. Watch your spelling and grammar. Don't allow a careless spelling mistake to cause you to lose valuable points. Avoid slang, abbreviations and contractions. Don't assume that close enough is good enough. Write your answer fully and correctly. Carefully follow the task instructions. For example, if the task states your answer must be 3 words and/or a number, do not write more than 3 words. If you do, you'll be marked wrong. If the question asks you to choose 4 letters, then make sure you choose 4. Writing task 1 asks you to write 150 words. So make sure you do as you're asked. Carelessness in these areas will negatively affect your band score. Now in some modules I've recommended using your test paper as a worksheet, and then later transferring your answers to the answer sheet. This is a very good idea. But you must be very careful not to introduce errors when you transfer your answers to the answer sheet. Transposition or transferal errors can be done very easily. So you must be extremely careful. This is especially common for multiple choice type questions. Make doubly sure your answers written in the test booklet correspond to the answers you write on the answer sheet. Lastly, make sure you allow yourself enough time to check your answers before handing in your answer sheet to the examiner. Maintain this attention to detail, and you won't lose any unnecessary points. We now come to the end of the IELTS Easy classroom lessons. But your work doesn't stop here. I encourage you to review these lessons as many times as you feel necessary, until the knowledge and systems I've outlined become second nature. In other words, they are the natural way you would approach the test. I also encourage you to join our IELTS Easy community and private group to practice your skills. Our staffs will be more than happy to assist you. Students, your practice and hard work will pay off. I do believe that you can achieve your goal. I would finally like to take this opportunity to wish you all the very best in your IELTS test. I invite you to keep in touch with us here at IELTS Easy. We care about you and the results you achieve. Tell us how you went. Send us a photo of yourself and we'll post the good news on our website for the encouragement of future students. Once again, our best wishes go with you for your IELTS exam and for your future academic and working careers. Wish you all the best. Well done. You have now completed this lesson. Before move on to the next lesson, make sure you fully understand the lesson above. I recommend you to review from the beginning. See you in the next lesson.